Hey guys, it's me again. Back at it from my old room in the basement at my dad's house. I've just been really wanting to make some inspirational content for you guys. I've been seeing a lot of celebrities posting, and it's really helped me get through. I just can relate a lot to sitting in a house. Being back home, I'm reverting back to when I was at least 12. What do I want to tell you guys about? And it's my sleeping, right? I've tried all the classic stuff, EMRD, meditation, stretching before bed, taking some of my mom's Xanax, blacking out, classic 2008, and none of it's working. So I'm just being okay, I'm just doing something really low key, I want to tell myself a bedtime story. And I've just been developing some really great storylines. I'm oh, I am a writer. I know a ton of writers who are just as successful as me, and they're my deep, close personal friends.
If I write a movie about menstruation, how would that come across?
What does the male gaze have to say about female menstruation?
I'm sort of looking from menstruation from the male perspective. Here's basically what I have so far. It's just oh my God, there's so much blood. Oh, what a disgusting, disgusting thing. Sort of a gory body horror element.
I think it'd be a really great idea if your main target and your only audience came from the frat boys at Alabama University. I've actually come up with a couple of movie ideas myself. So there's one where when I was 4, I was kidnapped in France by baby smugglers, but they didn't know I was American and couldn't speak French. So they locked me in their house for a year. I started to forget English and my past. I'm adopted by a renowned French director and his wife, who's also a renowned French writer. And then I become a very successful French actress in my early 20s. And then I make my American debut around that time. And that's when my birth parents, they find me because they see me in the movies.
But what about making it a sort of a truly grittier story by making the child that gets kidnapped a man?
It doesn't really matter what gender it is.
So it doesn't matter, so just make it a man. All right, that's a great pitch.
I'm going to try another one, and you'd be able to really get a picture of what I'm trying to go for. Write stuff for women by women. There's another one, and I'm a pioneer. All right. My mother died from scarlet fever, classics. So it's just my father, my 2 sisters, Elizabeth, she's 16, and Harriet, she's 11, and then myself, Jenny, I'm 18. So I'm in the woods in Wisconsin, and we come across another family who's also settling west, and they have a son, Michael. And Michael and the second oldest, Elizabeth, fall in love with each other, and I'm forced to accompany them on their woodland dates. So they decide to get married. I'm the oldest and should be the one getting married. So I pack my bags and I head to St. Louis. And then along the way I discovered that I don't need a man.
So at the beginning, when you were talking about your mother and all those sisters, and I was just oh, I felt so overwhelmed. So I just kind of zoned out. But then when you said St. Louis, that's a city that has a sports team. So I was right back in there. And listen, I am so for representation. I don't think that audiences would want to hear that. You know what I mean?
Let me try one more. See if I can get you with this one. It's set in New York City during the Great Depression.
Love it.
I'm a street kid, but I dress like a boy. The twist in this one is I'm friends with a local cop. His name is Frank, who keeps me safe from the mean streets of the 1930s New York City. And at night, I sometimes climb a fire escape that leads to Frank's apartment that he shares with his wife, Margaret, and 3-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter. They don't have names. I play with the kids and they feed me. I'm part of the family. And then one day, one of the boys in Billy's gang sees me and figures out what's the goings-ons. So he gathers up the gang. When I'm alone in the rougher part of town, all 6 of the guys jump me. Luckily, my cop friend is nearby and breaks it up. Later that night, I go to Frank's apartment. Frank's got the night shift and the kids are also asleep. So it's just me and Margaret, his wife, remember from the beginning. And we stand out on the fire escape talking about the depression and such, and then she kisses me. Frank's wife is a les. And that's as far as I've gotten on that one.
Again, it's just you talk for so long. There needs to be some sort of commanding of my attention. And yeah, I have ADHD and myriad other learning disabilities. But no, it was a good pitch. I have one note. As far as writing, you gotta make the lesbian sex scene as graphic as you possibly can.
I was thinking not even having one of those, just showing some nice relationship.
I mean, okay. But if you're going to do that, you have to cast the 2 hottest possible actresses in those roles, or else no one's going to be interested.
The whole reason I'm writing it is so that I star in it, it's yeah.
Yeah, no, okay. I mean, that could work. You're going to have to make the other girl just insanely hot, preposterously good looking. No,
seems
listen.
like you haven't changed a bit during this whole quarantine.
If anything, I've become more entrenched in my beliefs and who I am, because there's no noise from the outside world.
Unfortunately, on so many levels, I am sure you will get funding for that movie before I ever get funding for any of mine.
It's gonna be great.
Just freaking fantastic.